Alright, how's everybody doing today? Okay, so I'm gonna start organizing my channel a little bit before um, that way things are a little bit more organized between the alchemy, the hermetic things, the poetry, and the epic tell with my main character, Raphael Teriel. And I am also going to be what I'm doing right now is mostly for the novel that I'm writing. And man, I'm thinking, to do all this along with the astrology, probably take about 1 to 2 years, depending on how the doctorate degree goes. It could take longer. The novel, though, is going to be coming out, I should be wrapping that up around March. And the future of this channel too is going to go off in other directions because I have a lot of knowledge between history, business, because my major is English, my former major was history, I currently have an MBA, so I definitely want to get on some topics of money because I think it's probably one of the most important things to talk about. Because not a lot of people understand it, know how to use it properly, things of that nature. And then also, I'm going to be going into pursuing a doctorate in organizational leadership, which is a management degree. So I will probably be talking a little bit about that too. But until the meantime, I'm continuing with this portion. The consciousness, and hi Ember Joy. And then the next Thursday, I won't be starting chapter 2 of this book, which is a Rosarium Pictures. I'm going to be going over the astrological sign of Aries, and I'm very in depth in the sun, rising, and moon signs. I'll be starting off with the sun sign, then the rising sign, and then the moon sign. And I'll be going out from there. But, those are the 3 that I like to concentrate on first, starting with the sun, and the sun being in Aries. So, next Thursday you can look forward to that beginning. And that may take about 4 videos to complete because I dissect it in different areas. Anyways, so, let's begin with Fire and Desire. Okay, so we're going to begin with a quote from Edinger. So, there is a fountain whose water is polluted. A winged youth burns with love for this fountain, and actually the fountain is meant to be his bride. But there is an evil thief, who is the polluter of the fountain, and he prevents the approach of the winged youth. Then, with the help of Diana, the youth enters the pores of the earth adjacent to the fountain, and this union causes an earthquake and rises up a dark cloud. So, this image is about the opposites coming together, and basically the struggle of it coming together. No pain, no gain. Okay, so the opposites are water and fire, Mercury, sulfur, and the moon and the sun. Before the union of the opposites can come together, the evil thief must be taken care of. The evil thief represents a self-robbery due to collective thinking. And this thief is crude sulfur and not true sulfur. So what does sulfur represent? Sulfur represents the active substance of the sun, or the motive factor in consciousness, the will, and the involuntary motivation or impulse ranging from interest to possession proper. Sulfur is the life-giving warmth or desirousness, life or it is basically life energy. The ego-centered desirousness, as crude sulfur, which is an unconscious that demands to have what it wants when it wants it. This is evil, and you recognize it when it turns tyrannical or power-ridden. Like, man, I got this, or it takes on the desire becomes the more like filling prophecy. It becomes very selfish, or you become very selfish. You must have it, and if not, it's like you're gonna be depressed, angry, mad, and then, and I'm gonna bring up another quote that may express this a little bit more from Edinger. The more you cling to that which all the world desires, the more you are every man who has not yet discovered himself and stumbles through the world like a blind man leading the blind with somnambulistic certainty into the ditch. This means burning in your own fire and not being like a comet or a flashing beacon, showing others the right way but not knowing it yourself. So basically what I was saying before is kind of like your driven purpose is, oh man, money. That could be your ego-centered desire, that you care so much about it that you're willing to sacrifice everything else that gets in your way. Now we have the self-centered desirousness that is true sulfur. Alright, and self-centered desirousness is centered in the self, is regenerate or transformed desire, which the ego serves as a religious duty. The desire whose nature has been transformed by consciousness, and this is good desire. The things that you do because you want to uplift humanity. You want to raise consciousness. It's not all about you. It's about bringing everybody up, because that's what everything is about. Success breeds success. I don't want to live in a world to where my success, means that I'm putting you down, I'm making sure that you stay on the ground. No. I want to lift everybody up. Okay, so, and in all this, the world is basically torn by its isms. This ism is better than that ism, or this ism is better than this ism, when that's not really the case. It's really all the same. Emerson once said, all men plume themselves on the improvement of society, and no man improves himself. And Young said this, that relates to what Emerson just said. If the individual is not truly regenerated in spirit, society cannot be either. For society is the sum total of individuals in need for redemption. Okay, so we get so caught up in life, and the ego wants you to focus, especially your ego desires, wants you to focus so much on the outside world that you try to fix this or fix that, or, we gotta build this, if we build this, they will come. Which that is not the case. The only thing that you really have to fix or improve is yourself. And if you look inside, the outer world will be fixed itself too. If you look inside, it may be like, okay, now, I got my head straight together. Now I can pursue this goal, I can build that. That was, like my case. I came out of homelessness. after homelessness. I got myself situated, and then um, and then after doing that, I started pursuing an education in history. I got there, I had a little setback because of PTSD and anxiety. So I dropped out of school, but I went back. I ended up having to change my degree because the school that I was going to said that financial aid wouldn't cover the history degree. So I went after English. I got that all taken care of. I got my English degree. I'm now pursuing an MBA and a doctorate. So, and the doctorate's, like I said, in organizational leadership. So, you can do anything that you want, but the main key thing is fixing yourself first. So, if society is to be redeemed, it will be through the people that have successfully passed through the individuation process and understand the suffering and struggles of others. And that all begins with the desire and let me step back a little bit. The ego desire is the first thing anybody's going to come up against, because you don't know any better, because you think the ego is real. The ego thinks that it's real, and then it perceives everything else as real. But once you start realizing the false lies that you've been told through yourself, through what you've just thought up on your own, and you start refixing this inner person, there is nothing, and I mean nothing, that will stop you. You won't have a fear. You won't have a worry. You understand what needs to be done, when it needs to be done. And when you're there, you'll understand where I'm at right now. But that's the whole thing, is the ego will experience these desires before the self kicks in, because it takes the ego failing, and for you to realize that it's failing, for something to kick in the back of your mind where it's like, this is not working. Why do you keep repeating the same things? So try and find a new way, study different things, study different techniques. Everybody has something that works for them. Not everybody's the same. And that's where I'm going to leave you with. The next time I start back into the consciousness, it will be with the Rosarium pictures and going through that whole thing before we start dissecting a little bit of kind of like the mythologies, religions, and legends using Jungian psychology. So that should be pretty interesting. And then, like I said, next week on with probably about 4 videos, maybe more. I don't know. I'm just estimating 4 videos. But I'm going to start with Aries and the sun sign. Alright, well, I hope everyone has a good one. And I hope you enjoyed this. And of course, have a good day. And be positive.